But the scares continue. Another month, but the fear proceeds to rise. This is the Venom month of horrors 2, Trapped in Time.
I'd like to play a game. Wait, you're still here?
Yeah, I mean, I've done 3 of them.
Oh, you still got so many to go.
Didn't see it happening like this.
Well, they killed off their titular hero, but that won't stop them because they immediately got to work on another one! In fact, it was confirmed to have been happening even before part 3 was out. So it's not even like he died. They regretted it and waited 5 years and then thought, oh, we can do another one somehow. No, they fully jumped into part 4 right away despite their main antagonist being dead.
What's his problem?
While Darren Lynn Bousman agreed to come back to direct yet again, Lee Winnell, who had written the franchise since the very beginning, was tired of the series, as were the audience.
No.
Leading to Marcus Dunstan and Patrick Melton being brought in to write a script working somewhat as a prequel, telling the backstory of Jigsaw's life. However, the producers discarded this idea, but they still kept their jobs as writers to come up with the next 3 movies. Allegedly, they didn't actually struggle to keep Jigsaw involved in the story, despite being dead, adamant that they would not make more films without him. Yeah, that'd be dumb.
What the fuck is this?
But as they were planning an entire trilogy, any ideas planned for this film that was scrapped would ultimately end up being used in the subsequent installments. They were also desperate to get Donnie Wahlberg back to again reprise his role as Eric Matthews, but he was unavailable at the time. However, once the script was finished and production began, his schedule finally cleared up, and they literally rewrote the script on the spot to include him.
What the fuck does that mean?
Filming began on April the 16th, 2007 and wrapped less than a month later on May the 3rd in Toronto, Ontario, Canada, before being released on October the 26th. And though it was a big financial hit, grossing $139.3 million worldwide against a budget of just $10 million, it was slammed by fans and critics alike, criticising it for resorting to cheap scares and gore and relying solely on plot points and scenes already established in the previous movies in the series. I will say this. Saw 4 has the absolute dumbest excuse to continue a franchise I have ever seen. So we later find out that this movie takes place at the exact same time as Saw 3 because the writers think they're clever. But because of this, John apparently pre-recorded countless audio tapes and planned this entire game in this movie at the same time as the game in 3, and then just in case he died, he melted down and swallowed an audio tape so it would be discovered in his autopsy, somehow not disintegrating with his stomach acid, and somehow still being able to work. Jigsaw's fucking Mystic Meg! Fuck you! In fact, wait a minute, how the hell did he swallow the tape for Hoffman to listen to? So the movie starts, Hoffman finds this tape during the autopsy and oh my god, it leads into the game. But if this takes place at the same time as 3, how is this possible? Because this movie literally ends with Strahm walking into the events at the end of 3 when Jigsaw's already dead. And then Hoffman locks him inside the room. So how the flying Eskimo poop can any of this movie even take place?
Get the fuck out of here.
How does this even compute? How do you get to the writing stage and you're like, he runs into the events of 3? But the movie started with the events of 3! Wait, writers were on cocaine when they were in the womb and their mother smoked during pregnancy and then the bitch got pushed down the stairs. She almost miscarried, but then you know what? They started pulling out the stillborn child and then they thought, no, actually we can still resuscitate the cunt. And they pushed it back in the womb and then the poor woman was forced to still give birth to this half stillborn hybrid thing with half a brain cell. And this deformed fucking Quasimodo motherfucker was born as this disabled offspring of death. And then 30 years later, this disease grew up and then thought, hey, I'm gonna write a Saw film. This is beyond stretching your disbelief. This is my issue with these films. It's not something like Halloween Resurrection or Santa's Sleigh or Crank where they know it's silly and they just have fun with it. No, they fully commit to this. They genuinely believe they are clever. They write the most ridiculous bullshit you will ever see or hear, expect you to buy it, and then they're like, yeah, we're Shawshank bitches. No! You're sure wank!
What is that?
Yes, we have now entered the fucking Looney Tunes, folks!
I promise that my work will continue. You think it's over just because I'm dead?
You're fucking dead, mate! People think this is clever? And we didn't get nearly enough pointless surgery gore in the last film, so have some more! Allegedly, this was done on purpose just to set them apart from gruesome crime shows on TV at the time, but it serves no purpose! The production does look insane, I'll give them that, it's just pointless. Although I do kinda like the opening trap. One dude has his eyes sewn shut and the other his mouth. I mean, surely in a life or death situation you just rip open the stitches, right? I mean, in fact, he ends up doing that after the game is finished, little idiot. Also, if you can clearly hear someone muffling their speech, I don't think they're there to hurt you, dude. Why would you attack him? In fact, the mute guy really doesn't need to kill the deaf one. I understand self-defense, but right now... I mean, that was just unnecessary. The cops are... Oh my god, what is this? Robot Wars? Oh yeah, Carrie's dead. I always found it weird that they call each other by their last name. I mean, you've just found your colleague and friend massacred and you call out her surname. Carrie! And I'm not gonna lie, I completely forgot that she was dead. This is the thing with these films. I can't imagine having to wait a year to watch the next one. You have to watch them in quick succession to remember which one's which and what the fuck is going on.
Exactly.
The focus of the film is Detective Rig, who was supposed to be the main character in part 3, but he was busy filming other projects, so his role in this one got beefed up instead. But I mean, this is Jigsaw! So obviously Rig is gonna get this life-changing message where he can turn his entire existence around. What's it gonna be this time?
You know never to go through an unsecured door, ever.
Better hope he doesn't come through that door.
Don't open it!
Why did you open that door?
Your obsession to stop those around you from making the wrong choices, thus preventing you from making the right ones.
Yep! He gets put in a saw trap for saving people. I mean, we do see that everyone around him keeps dying, he's having issues in his marriage, so he's being punished for grieving? Is anyone surprised that this is the first Saw film that wasn't written by the creator? So not only is it beyond ridiculous that the entire message is for him to not go through doors. So yeah, don't cheat on your wife, appreciate your life, stop stalking people, treat people the way you want to be treated, don't do drugs, don't sell yourself on the streets, and don't walk through doors. I wonder if I can hang myself in here. He's being punished for saving lives, which goes against Jigsaw's entire motif. In fact, throughout the entire movie, every trap goes against John's supposed motives. I guess the opening trap is fine, it's an actual trap and they both genuinely could have survived. But the next one, John punishes a prostitute and quite literally says she's gonna die in this trap, and he just asks Rig to walk away.
Your obsession tells you to save the victim. I tell you to walk away.
Well, this isn't a trap, is it? It's murder! It's like pointing a gun at someone's head and was like, do you like this trap? I'm gonna blast them away. Just walk away. This is a great trap, isn't it?
Let him save your life and accept your fate to rot in prison.
For prostitution? She'd get like a year, tops.
Not your call.
I mean, Rig could just shoot through her hair anyway, but he's a moron. And then he forces Rig to murder a serial rapist in Christian Grey's bedroom. I mean, it's the first time I've actively enjoyed someone actually going through a trap. I don't get why he doesn't just gouge out both of his eyes at the same time. And I kind of wish Jigsaw actually did more to him. Cut his dick off or something. Sorry, sidetracked.
Shut the fuck up!
But again, it's not a trap. It's just Jigsaw getting Rig to murder someone for him. The whole point of Jigsaw is to supposedly rehabilitate people.
There are cameras watching. And you must hide your identity.
He's already walked into the building in front of the cameras. Do you really think if he just put this mask on despite having the same clothes elsewhere that they wouldn't guess that it's him? He doesn't even end up wearing it, so it was completely pointless. He also uses the rapist's dog to lure him upstairs. He's a police officer. Can't he just flash his badge and make him go up there? Then an abusive couple are stuck together, but if he saves her, he also kills the man. But what a twist, they're both as guilty as each other. So someone still has to die. This isn't a fucking Saw trap! I love how she's emotional and in absolute agony, but still wakes up and somehow has the wherewithal to still play the damn tape recorder that she didn't drop. Speaking of which, does he just have countless amounts of cassette tape players? This should be such an easy task to find him. Just look on Amazon to see who has purchased 200 tape recorders recently. And the main trap is Just don't go through a door and the 3 victims walk free. This movie fucking sucks and completely misses the entire point of Jig fucking Saw. Oh, and remember, this movie takes place at the same time as Saw 3.
Amanda Young, the accomplice.
This wasn't done by Amanda Young.
How the flying fuck does anyone know that Amanda is John's accomplice? No one found out in part 3. The nurse went missing, they didn't know Amanda was helping him, but all of a sudden, oh yes, that's Amanda, that's his accomplice. Fucking proofread your script, you bunch of simpleton cokeheads! Oh, and the plot twist in this one? Detective Hoffman is the new Jigsaw, and he's been helping them this entire time! But he could not make it any more obvious.
John Kramer was...
Bedridden cancer patient, he's brains, not brawn.
He was also an engineer. He could have rigged pulleys.
Or someone else could have helped him.
I mean, we see Donnie Wahlberg getting dragged around, but it's clearly Hoffman doing it. It's not gonna be fucking Amanda, is it? Okay, so the mute guy in the opening trap is the lawyer of John's ex-wife Jill, and he's called Art, who is in charge of Wahlberg's trap. So to be fair, they try to swerve you and have you believe that it's actually him, so it's not massively predictable. Yes. Yes, it is.
Making any progress?
I am the bad guy. Ha 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 ha. But why the flying poop stain do they keep Donnie Wahlberg alive? We literally see them keeping him alive. It makes no sense unless they planned on having him join them like Hoffman or Amanda, but it's never explained. They just kept him alive and killed everyone else for some reason. To be fair, they do manage to get you to sympathize with Riggs as he loses everyone. But the problem is he was such a minor character before, so it's hard to really get anything out of it. And his wife leaves and we never see or hear from her again. Throughout the movie, he keeps finding photos of her, so we're to assume that she's also kidnapped and will appear at some point in the game. But she never does. Now, this was because in the original script, she was the one who was going to be tied on top of the ice block. But then Donnie Wahlberg came back and she got the shaft and literally vanishes into the abyss. Wow, Donnie Wahlberg's an asshole.
What does this mean?
The transitions in this film are so weird, it's like a damn TV show, it's so distracting. But at the same time, it's actually kind of impressive because they were all practical. The sets were built right next to each other, so it was all done right in front of the camera. Kudos. It is actually quite funny when Rig gets the first speech from Jigsaw. He doesn't even stop to listen. He's just like, oh hell no, I ain't got time for this. It is pretty convenient how John always gives them around the movie's actual runtime to solve these traps. It's very nice of him. He even attacks an abusive father without any evidence. How has he kept his job this long? So there's an interesting moment where the cops are actually worried that John and his goons have recruited Wahlberg to join them. But that's it. Never touched upon again. They do have more of Jill, which is quite interesting. Interviewing the wife of a serial killer is pretty cool. But why exactly does Hoffman maintain the facade so much? Even when it's just those 3, he doesn't need to try this hard to convince them he's perfectly safe and in on the plan. It's cool to see Tobin Bell again. He's always so badass, but in an extremely calm way.
The fuck's your problem?
You're my problem. You're becoming everybody else's too.
Even his flashbacks in this one are boring. They don't add anything to the story or the character. It's so dull. It picks up a little bit as we see John take matters into his own hands and abduct Cecil, beginning life as Jigsaw behind his wife's back. And they actually try to get us to sympathise with him so much. Not only did we already know that he was denied cancer treatment and had several failed suicide attempts, but now him and his wife also lost their baby. Do you feel sorry for him yet? What's next? A bird gonna shit on his head? His brother get hit by a bus? His blind, mute grandmother's got dementia? Is he gonna date Amber Heard?
You don't want to do that.
Why do they try to get you to sympathise with a damn serial killer? And this was actually Tobin Bell's real reaction to hearing that they're giving him yet another reboot. Don't cry, don't cry, you just killed a baby, you asshole! Although John does have some admittedly pretty decent dialogue.
You can't help them. They have to help themselves.
Agent Stram suspects that Jill is actually helping John with the murders, but this makes no sense considering earlier he discarded the possibility of it being Amanda because she was a woman and wouldn't be strong enough.
Detective Carey weighed approximately 130 pounds. Amanda Young's arrest report has her at 107. She couldn't get her up there alone.
The so-called traps aren't even creative. They're just shit.
Please.
Yes, that vague clue somehow leads to him figuring everything out.
She identified Officer Riggs, said he saved her.
What, she didn't mention that he also completely abandoned her? The movie is just boring. They really screwed themselves over by not having Jigsaw alive. They needed him.
It's not so much that I want to kill her. It's just, I want her not to be alive anymore. I sometimes wonder if all women are this difficult. And then I think to myself, my God, wouldn't it be marvellous if I turned out to be a homosexual?
But then it just drags. At this point, there's only 15 minutes left of the movie, and they spend so much time on Cecil's trap, in which all he needs to do is bite the bullet and just shove his face forward and quit being a little bitch. I do love how annoyed John looks at Cecil for breaking his trap, though, and then casually steps to one side for him to die.
You see your fucking hands? Where is my daughter?
In the deleted scenes. The guy who's acted like a supervillain this entire time was a supervillain this entire time? Oh! And then he just leaves Rig. What if he survives and snitches? And if you're wondering about the next movie, don't worry, all they say is...
You didn't make it.
That's all you need. And he's never seen again. And then the movie even tries to trick me by having some cool music. No! This film sucks! It's just boring, and it fails at the most basic thing possible. To be Jigsaw. They fail at Jigsaw's message, they fail with the main character's journey, and they fail with making an entertaining film. I'm not saying the first two were cinematic masterpieces, but at least they were an interesting trip into a serial killer's psyche. This is a boring trip down the fucking toilet. But they're gonna get better, right? Right?